Yeah, hello! What's good, everybody? It's your boy Roman Puss here with the official one and only Claude guide. This is the Kid Law EX Blue Runner duo unit that happens to be running amok in League Battle as we speak. He is actually one of the top units in the entire game. Potentially, you could fight for him being number one. I mean, that's debatable. Whatever you think. I mean, the Shanks users will say otherwise, but you know, it'd be what it is. So, anyways, I'm gonna go over a full guide, kind of go over everything that we kind of makes him good, makes him bad, what counters him, what doesn't counter him, what he's strong against, and your general meta recommendations for that and overall. Now, in some of my previous guides, I have gone over their traits and their skills. I'm going to actually skip that in order for time purposes of this video, so we can kind of speed things along. Now, let's dive in. Let's start with my first thing. Now, the stat spread recommendation is what I want to kind of begin with. Now, how should you build your Claw? So, he has a defense buff that gives him up to 50% defense buff just from hitting. Every time you hit an enemy, you get 3% stacks. So, with this, you're going to want to focus on defense, honestly. I really think in order to capitalize off a defense buff, in order to take really, really small amounts of damage, you're going to need to build the full 70% defense off of your metal set. If you want to add the extra 300 flat defense, you can. You will start to really take very, very little damage, which will help you a lot against defenders for the most part, but it will honestly help you a lot against Shanks as well. So that is a possibility, and if you want to build full defense with the 300 bonus, and then however much attack you can build off of that, if you have 18%, that will give you a total of 4 slots out of the 9 on your metal slots will go towards 70% defense. You'll have the extra 2 will be 6 slots taken, so you'll have 3 slots left, so you can get up to 54% attack with that, with maximized defense as well. So that is an option. I think that is okay. I think that's perfectly fine. Or you can just go full 70% attack, full 70% defense, and then you can throw one flat one in there, because that'll be 4 slots for 70% each for attack and defense, and then yeah, build it however you want with the attack and defense. Or your other option, if you don't care too much about doing damage with your basic attacks or your certain, like your regular skills that don't ignore damage reduction in Law's case, or ignore defense in Kid's case, which is on Kid's skill 1 and Law's skill 2, kind of confusing, I know there's a lot to work with here. You can build the HP defense, so you can go full HP, full defense. Now for this build, I probably would recommend going full HP, 70% defense, and then an extra 160 defense that you get from League Battle metal traits. That is an option. So between those two builds, generally HP wouldn't recommend. It's really not that worth. I don't think it's that viable on him. So for just HP attack, if you were to be going that. So that build, I don't really particularly recommend. Me, for my personal preference, I like to go attack and defense, so you can really smack people around with your other skills too. So attack defense is my way to go. That's how I prefer it. Okay, next we're going to dive right into the character pros. What makes Claw strong? Now this unit has so many things going for him. He is obviously one of the best units, if not the best unit in the game for a reason. So the list will be on and on, but some of the main points that I'm going to go with here are as follows. The first, ability to take flags easily. He has one of the few traits, which I think 3 characters have now, with the ability to take a flag while an enemy is on it. I think this is one of the most broken abilities in the game and should have never been added in the first place, but it started with EXO and Big Mom, then Raid Usopp came across it, and now this Law and Kid has it, and it's honestly ruins the game. It kind of ruins the whole main purpose of how the game worked, but it's already here, it's here to stay, and we can't complain, whine, or do anything about it. So it is what it is. Fantastic. He's a runner. He's able to take flags when he wants, however he wants, and the only thing that can stop him is a knockback from it. So if you're Law, if you're Kid, you can be status affected. Just things to keep in mind. Now, next thing, solid defender as a unit as well. Like when you get your full stacks up, honestly, I would use the Kid unit to get your stacks up, because he hits a total of 9 times, I believe, with his full basic attack set, which is 9 times 3 gives you 27%. If you just hit the enemy twice with that, do 1, 2, 3, knock them down, they get back up, do 1, 2, 3 again, you'll be full stacked and have your 50% defense buff, which will make you extremely tanky, and you can actually hold the flag really, really, really well, because you have so much knockback and so much invincibility. You're kind of unstoppable and very difficult to kill depending on what unit the enemy is using. Next, the ability to refill the HP bar easily. Like, you have so many heals. Like, this is your HP bar. You have so many heals. Now, mind you, this is kind of goes, like, I'll actually get to the other point in a second, but, like, if you're a Kid, you have your skill 1, heals off how much damage you do, hence why I like to build attack. But that will give you a fat chunk of your HP bar back. Your skills are very short cooldowns, so you can just keep getting those back, and then get them back, and then get them back, and then get them back. It's actually disgusting, and it makes you so strong. And yeah, so honestly, you're extremely survivable. And then the next point that kind of goes along with this is you have 2 lives. So say you're playing Kid, You get down to like 20-30% HP, you're about to die. Now, if you do die, just a fun fact for you, if you do die as one character, you do die. Like, you don't get to just swap out to the other character. So if you die as Kid, you don't just swap out as Law right then and there. You do have to go back to spawn and play as the other character, or wait the 10 seconds in order to respawn as Kid and Law again. So if you get low on one of them, just swap out if you have to, and then just basically give a whole new health bar again. Now, this helps a lot, especially if you just fought against someone who just wailed their big major abilities out and didn't kill you. Then you can just swap your character out and come back and start wailing on them again. Alright, now comes the character cons. To be honest, I'm going to be real with all of you. He hardly has any cons. Like, he's does pretty much everything. He can do anything like a defender can do, he can do everything a runner can do, and he can do everything like an attacker can do. He can kill things, he can defend, and he can cap flags however he wants. This is what's disgusting about this unit. It is insane and has been kind of crazy. Now, we have gotten some counter kind of units with the new Uta, but I'll put a guide out and do some details on that in a little bit, and we'll mention that later in the video. Anyways, your cons that you have. The main cons that I see that leaves you vulnerable, especially when I'm playing him, is when you're swapping between characters. You have to be careful when you're swapping, because if you're fighting someone like Shanks or some, like, that's your most vulnerable state, because you can't really move. So if you press and hold your basic attack in order to switch your characters out, you're not able to move, and if you're not hitting them, then you're not going to stagger. So the best time to swap them out is actually when you're hitting an enemy. If you basic attack once, and if they're staggerable, provided they're staggerable, you basic attack once, and then you'll swap out right away. And then, like, I found that one to be the easiest way to do it, but if you can't do it, then just do it when you knock down the enemy, swap right away, and then you're ready to go when they get back up. So that's my recommendation for that, but that is one of his, like, biggest cons. His other con is honestly just being blue. There's all these giga giant, like, green attackers who will demolish all these blue units for so long, aka Film Red Shanks, aka Roger. Honestly, Odin probably could smack you around a little bit. If you were a defender, he'd probably smack you more, but Odin can still do good amounts of damage. So things like that are to be watched out for. You are kind of vulnerable to status effects while you're a Kid, but you can obviously mitigate that by swapping to Law if you wish. So just things to be careful of. You are a blue unit, so watch out for those pesky green units. Alright, now let's talk about the units that Claw is extremely strong against. Sorry, I just keep calling him Claw because it's Kid Law, so that's for those of you that don't get it at this point. Anyways, the units that you're strong against. First one is EXL1 Big Mom. You're meant to be the #1 counter, kind of going based off the anime. You can anti-heal her, so I generally would recommend using Law in order to fight the Big Mom, because you can anti-heal her and you are immune to status effects, so generally use Law to fight her. He has the biggest advantages against her, but you can definitely use Kid to right off the bat. But as soon as you get a flamed, I would swap out of Kid. If you are not a flamed, you can hit Big Mom, but if you become a flamed by Big Mom, then I would strongly recommend turning over to Law, so you're not a flamed, and then you can just wail on her. Plus you have ignore damage reduction, which is what most of her defenses come from, and you can ignore that with your skill too, and you'll just nearly one-shot her with that. Now, the other units that you're strong against are basically any and almost all defenders. Now, excluding probably the brand new Uta unit. She doesn't destroy you, but she can definitely hold her flag against you, and she will not let you take the flag if you are trying to, provided she plays it right. It can be a skill matchup, but for the most part, Uta probably shouldn't have any troubles defending against you. Other than that, the defenders, any other defenders, like the new Raid Jinbei, the new Oni Brook, there are so many units that can literally do nothing against you. Now, there are certain characters that can hit you pretty hard. I mean, Neptune can be somewhat pesky because he's strong against Nibblefort users, but you probably can get away with taking the flag no matter what, and you can honestly potentially just kill him if you wish and want to try and do that. So mostly you bully defenders, and you're strong against those. You are solid for the most part against almost all units. It can be pretty skill matchup-y. And honestly, the invincibility is what you have going for you and protecting you. You can fight a lot of units and even fight Film Red Shanks. We'll get to the counters in a second, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for the most part, you just have so much invincibility and so much skills and so much skill cooldown that allows you to keep wailing on them and destroying them as a whole. All right, now let's talk about the counters and people who defeat him. Honestly, straight out, in terms of the definition of a counter, there really kind of are none. I think of a counter as someone who 9 times out of 10 is going to win the battle against, like, Claw. Honestly, there's no units who are exactly that right now. So you have people like Film Red Shanks can smack him around and can destroy him if the Film Red Shanks plays it right. But I'll be honest, I've destroyed probably just as much Shankses as Shankses have destroyed me when playing Claw. So it's a pretty skill matchup and pretty 50-50. It depends on who has their abilities up and when people use their invincibility and kind of how that plays out. So for the most part, Film Red Shanks is probably your closest thing to a counter, and Roger, you could consider them that. They're pretty close. Roger can smack you, but honestly, you can probably hit him hard pretty easily back, so he's not too big of a threat, but he can hit you. So just watch out for him. He is dangerous, and there's things to be careful of. The other one that is, I do want to talk about Film Red Uta V2 that we've gotten. She is a blue defender. She is able to protect her flag. She will not particularly kill you if you have your defense stacks because you'll be so tanky, but she will be able to hold her flag, and you probably won't be able to kill her unless you can land your ignore damage reduction skill 2 from Law's ability. The Wet Willy skill, yeah, you're going to need to land that. I think it's like Punk Willy or something like that. I don't even remember what it's called, but watch out for that thing. That's what Uta has to be fear. So if you can land that, that's your biggest damage, and then you should be able to finish her off after you hit that. So just things to take consider of. All right, next up, let's talk about some medal recommendations. So for these, honestly, you have plenty of skill cooldowns, so you really don't need to worry about skill cooldown when you're playing Law. You have so many things that give you your abilities back. I don't think you need to take that into too much consideration when building your sets. I honestly think the generic Luffy sets are some of the best for him. You get all those triple tags, and you get all that extra damage increase from being on the enemy flag and whatnot, so those are definitely some options. If you have the older Dressrosa set, you can definitely run that, but let's actually take a look at my Wano set of version of Luffy. So we do have this new event, this Kong Gun medal. I would recommend getting that. It does fit well with the claw like kind of set, so when you get a flag, you heal 5%. Just a little extra health back, so it doesn't hurt. It's really nice. You can keep your sustain up. You get all 6 of these tags. Some of them are triple effect. Some of them are... I think they're actually all triple effect if you have all the Wano Luffys. So if you do have the older, like this Red Rock event medal, many of you, if you're a veteran player, you kind of do have it. If you're a brand new player, then you can try and see if you can come across the other Luffys. Luffy's not too difficult to get, but it may be a little bit tricky to kind of come across certain ones of those. So this Raid Luffy kind of fits well. This is around your own treasure. It gives you 5% damage reduction, which is kind of nice, but you probably do want stuff that's going to help you when you're on the enemy flag instead. So this other one, Red Rock, when attacking an enemy with the elements you're strong against. So when fighting the, what is that, your blues or reds, when you're fighting the reds, you'll get that extra damage increase. Now, I generally, this is actually an older medal, it's the Lucy medal. One of my favorite sets, this is for what I've been running on him, is actually my go-to, is a generic Luffy Dressrosa set. This one I do have triple effect. I do have damage increase from the Luffy medal is what we call it. This is the Luffy Law duo unit. You have damage increase there. You have 5% recovery when taking a flag, and then you have when allies are not near the treasure area, you have also damage increase. And then you have all triple effect on these tags, so this is actually one of the best generic sets in the game. You have so many things going for you. Again, double damage increase, you have cap speed, you have dodge cooldown, you have skill 2 cooldown for triple, and then you have skill 1 cooldown for triple. So really, there's a lot going for you there. You can definitely bring that in, and it shouldn't be too difficult to come across. The King Kong Gun one might be difficult, but you're not going to be able to get this Lucy medal, so you can always replace that with one of the Wano ones, or just run triple Wano, depending on what units you're working with. That's obviously like a goal to go for. If you are a brand new player, I would recommend using like the Luffy sets. If you need to grind out these current, like, these brand new event medals, that's what you need. You could go with these. That's an option. You have this Zoro. You could go Zoro Luffy. That's when a crit occurs. It's not going to be too good on you because you don't hit that often, but it's an option. So if you need things to go together, and if you come across any other Straw Hats, you can mix and match those. I would go with those. Beast Pirates sets are also an option if you want to run those. Let's see, what are we working with Beast Pirates? So there's the Triple Kaido if you somehow have that. As a newer player, I'm going to assume most people don't have that stuff, so I would generally work on Luffy. It gives you the damage increase, and you want to be able to kill people or knock them off so you can just start wailing and grabbing the flag. Now, keep in mind you are a runner. If you want to run that basic generic Dressrosa set medal, you can run that. So we have this. Again, it's the Luffy medal. You have Dolphy. The thing is, the tags aren't as crazy on this one. You do have full skill 1. You only have 14% skill 2. And then you have the full Captain and Paramecia, which is dodge and capture speed. So all of these just give you capture speed if you're trying to grab those as fast as you possibly can. Oops. There you go. You got the Bill of White. So that's an option as well if you're looking for that. So overall, that kind of covers my generic Claw update and guide to him. He's a brand new character. He is insane. Honestly, I would rate him a 10 out of 10 in the OPBR meta. He's actually one of the top tiers. I am probably going to do a tier list here relatively soon once we get past the 4.5 Annie, so be on the lookout for that. And I will be able to give you guys a full layout as of who is meta and who you should use and who you shouldn't use. So just a thing to look out for. That's all I have for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Is there some things you would change? Is there some metal sets that you guys like better or don't like as much in this video? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below, and I will be looking out for those. So that's all I have for you guys. Be sure to check out my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. Also, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate that. But I'm your boy Roman Puss, and I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, peace, beautiful people.